Chapter 1. The Calm Before the Storm. The sun was just beginning to rise over the bustling city of Los Angeles, casting a golden hue over the skyline. Inside the headquarters of Luminex Productions, a full-service event production company, the open-plan office was already buzzing with activity. The hum of computers, the clatter of keyboards, and the occasional ring of a phone created a symphony of productivity. The team was preparing for one of their biggest projects yet, a high-profile corporate event in Dubai, featuring a live broadcast, a massive LED wall, and a complex sound and light setup. The stakes were high, and the pressure was palpable. At the center of the chaos was the core team. Elena, the meticulous project manager with a knack for keeping everyone on track. Marcus, the charismatic lead technician who could fix anything with a flick of a switch. Jasmine, the creative director with an eye for detail and a passion for storytelling. Ryan, the young and ambitious video engineer who was always eager to prove himself. And Sophia, the logistics coordinator who kept everything running smoothly behind the scenes. The team had been working on this project for months, and today was the final prep day before they flew out to Dubai. The tension in the room was thick, but there was also a sense of camaraderie, a shared understanding that they were all in this together. Elena stood at the head of the conference table, her sharp eyes scanning the room. "All right, team, let's run through the final checklist. Marcus, how's the sound equipment?" Marcus leaned back in his chair, his confident grin never wavering. "All packed and ready to rock. I double-checked every cable and mic. We're good to go." "Good. Jasmine, the LED wall design." Jasmine nodded, her fingers tapping nervously on her tablet. "The visuals are finalized, and I've synced them with the live feed. But I'm still worried about the resolution. If the client decides to change the content last minute, we might have to scramble." Elena gave her a reassuring smile. "You've handled worse. Just keep an eye on it." "Ryan, how's the broadcast setup?" Ryan, who had been quietly tinkering with a small camera, looked up with a hint of pride. "The encoders are ready, and I've tested the live stream from multiple angles. As long as the internet connection in Dubai holds up, we're golden." Sophia chimed in from the corner, her voice calm but firm. "I've confirmed the venue's bandwidth with their IT team. We'll have a dedicated line for the broadcast. But we need to make sure all the equipment clears customs without any delays. I've got the paperwork ready, but you know how these things can go." Elena nodded, her expression serious. "Good work, everyone. Let's stay sharp. This event is a huge opportunity for us, and we can't afford any mistakes." As the team dispersed to finish their tasks, Marcus lingered behind, his usual confidence replaced by a rare moment of hesitation. "Hey, Elena, can I talk to you for a second?" Elena raised an eyebrow. "Sure, what's up?" Marcus glanced around to make sure no one was listening. "I might have overlooked something with the soundboard. I thought I fixed it, but during the last test, there was a slight delay in the audio feed. It's minor, but if it happens during the live event..." Elena's eyes narrowed. "How minor are we talking?" "Less than a second. But you know how these things can snowball." Elena sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose. "Marcus, this is exactly the kind of thing we need to catch now, not in Dubai. Fix it, and don't let anyone else find out. We don't need the team panicking over something that might not even be an issue." Marcus nodded, his usual swagger returning. "You got it, boss. I'll take care of it." As Marcus walked away, Elena couldn't shake the feeling of unease. She had trusted Marcus with the technical side of things for years, but this wasn't like him. Was he hiding something, or was the pressure of this event getting to him too? Later that afternoon, as the team was loading the equipment into the shipping containers, Ryan noticed something odd. One of the crates labeled sound equipment was slightly ajar, and inside he saw a tangled mess of cables that didn't look right. He hesitated, unsure whether to bring it up or let Marcus handle it. But before he could decide, Sophia called out to him, distracting him from the discovery. As the container was sealed and loaded onto the truck, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Little did he know, that small oversight would soon spiral into a crisis that would test the entire team. Chapter 2. The First Crack. The team arrived in Dubai 2 days before the event, giving themselves enough time to set up and troubleshoot. The venue was a sprawling convention center with towering ceilings and state-of-the-art facilities. The air was thick with anticipation as the crew unloaded the equipment and began assembling the stage, LED walls, and sound systems. The desert sun blazed outside, but inside, the air conditioning hummed steadily, providing a cool contrast to the heat of their work. Elena was in her element, directing the team with precision. Marcus was overseeing the sound setup, his usual confidence masking the lingering doubt from the audio delay issue. Jasmine was busy fine-tuning the visuals on the LED wall, her creative energy palpable. Ryan was testing the broadcast equipment, his focus unwavering. Sophia, as always, was the glue holding everything together, ensuring that every piece of equipment was accounted for and that the local crew was following the plan. But beneath the surface, tensions were simmering. The pressure of the event was getting to everyone, and small mistakes were starting to creep in. A misplaced cable here, a miscommunication there, nothing major, but enough to set everyone on edge. Ryan, can you double-check the encoder settings? I don't want any surprises during the live stream, Elena called out, her voice cutting through the noise of the bustling venue. Ryan nodded, his fingers flying over the keyboard. On it, but we might need to run another test with the local internet. The latency is higher than I expected. Sophia walked over, her tablet in hand. I've already spoken to the venue's IT team. They're setting up a dedicated line for us, but it won't be ready until tomorrow morning. Elena frowned. That's cutting it close. Ryan, keep me updated. We can't afford any delays. Meanwhile, Marcus was crouched behind the soundboard, his brow furrowed in concentration. He had spent the entire morning trying to fix the audio delay issue, but it was proving more stubborn than he had anticipated. Jasmine noticed his frustration and walked over, her heels clicking against the polished floor. Everything okay, Marcus? You've been quiet all morning, she said, her tone light but probing. Marcus forced a smile. Just fine-tuning the sound. You know how it is, last-minute tweaks. Jasmine raised an eyebrow. You sure? You look like you're wrestling with a gremlin in there. Marcus chuckled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Just a minor hiccup. Nothing I can't handle. Jasmine studied him for a moment before nodding. All right, but if you need help, let me know. We're a team, remember? Marcus nodded, but as Jasmine walked away, his smile faded. He knew the issue wasn't just a minor hiccup. If he couldn't fix it, the entire event could be jeopardized. Later that afternoon, as the team took a break, Ryan pulled Sophia aside. Hey, did you notice anything weird with the sound equipment when we were loading it back in LA? Sophia frowned. Weird how? I don't know. One of the crates was open, and the cables looked messy. I meant to say something, but things got crazy. Sophia's eyes narrowed. Did you tell Marcus? Ryan shook his head. I figured he'd already checked everything, but now I'm wondering if something got damaged during transport. Sophia sighed. Great. Just what we need. I'll talk to Elena. In the meantime, keep an eye on the broadcast setup. We can't afford any more surprises. As Sophia walked away, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that they were all standing on the edge of a cliff and one wrong move could send them tumbling. That evening, as the team gathered for a quick dinner, Marcus excused himself early, claiming he needed to run some tests. But instead of heading to the soundboard, he slipped out of the venue and made a phone call. His voice was low and urgent, and his words sent a chill down the spine of whoever was on the other end of the line. I need your help. It's worse than I thought. Back at the venue, Elena noticed Marcus's absence and felt a knot of unease tighten in her stomach. Something was wrong, and she was determined to find out what. Chapter 3. The Domino Effect. The next morning, the team arrived at the venue early, the air thick with anticipation and the faint scent of coffee. The event was now just a day away, and the pressure was mounting. Elena had barely slept, her mind racing with checklists and contingency plans. She noticed Marcus was already there, hunched over the soundboard, his face pale and drawn. He looked like he hadn't slept at all. Marcus, how's it looking? Elena asked, her tone careful but firm. He didn't look up. Almost there. Just need a little more time. Elena frowned. We don't have more time. The client's doing a walkthrough in 2 hours. Everything needs to be perfect. Marcus finally met her gaze, his eyes shadowed with exhaustion. I know. I'll get it done. Elena wanted to press him further, but the sound of raised voices near the LED wall caught her attention. Jasmine was arguing with one of the local technicians, her usually calm demeanor fraying at the edges. This isn't what we agreed on. Jasmine snapped, pointing at the screen. The resolution is completely off. It's going to look pixelated on the live feed. The technician shrugged, clearly unbothered. This is the best we can do with the equipment you brought. Jasmine turned to Elena, her frustration evident. We need to fix this, or the entire visual presentation is going to look amateurish. Elena took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. All right, let's figure it out. Ryan, can you help Jasmine with the resolution settings? Sophia, see if we can get better equipment from the venue's inventory. As the team scrambled to address the issue, Ryan noticed Marcus slipping away again, this time toward the loading dock. Curiosity got the better of him, and he followed, keeping a safe distance. He watched as Marcus pulled out his phone and made another call, his voice low but urgent. I told you I need it now. If you don't get here by tonight, this whole thing is going to blow up in my face, Marcus hissed into the phone. Ryan's eyes widened. What was Marcus hiding? He ducked behind a stack of crates as Marcus ended the call and hurried back inside. Ryan's mind raced. Should he tell Elena? Or confront Marcus directly? Before he could decide, Sophia appeared, her expression grim. Ryan, we've got a problem. The broadcast equipment isn't syncing with the LED wall. If we can't fix it, the live feed won't match the visuals. Ryan groaned. Of course it's not. Let me take a look. As Ryan worked on the broadcast setup, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were all teetering on the edge of disaster. The issues were piling up, and Marcus's strange behavior only added to the tension. What had started as a minor audio delay now felt like the first domino in a chain reaction that could bring the entire event crashing down. By midday, the team was running on fumes. Jasmine had managed to improve the resolution on the LED wall, but still wasn't perfect. Ryan had gotten the broadcast equipment working, but the latency was still higher than he'd like. And Marcus? Marcus was nowhere to be found. Elena finally lost her patience. Where is he? We're running out of time. Sophia hesitated. I saw him heading toward the loading dock earlier. Should I go look for him? Elena nodded. Yes. And when you find him, tell him to get his act together. We can't afford any more delays. As Sophia left to search for Marcus, Ryan pulled Elena aside. There's something you should know. I saw Marcus making a call earlier. He sounded desperate. I think he's hiding something. Elena's eyes narrowed. What do you mean, hiding something? Ryan shrugged. I don't know, but it didn't sound good. Maybe you should talk to him. Elena sighed, running a hand through her hair. I will, but right now, we need to focus on the client walkthrough. If they see even a hint of these issues, we're done for. The team regrouped just in time for the client's arrival. The walkthrough started smoothly, with Elena leading the way, and the team showcasing their progress. But as they reached the sound setup, Marcus was still missing. Elena's heart sank as the client turned to her. Let's hear the audio demo, the client said, his tone expectant. Elena forced a smile. Of course. Marcus, our lead technician, will handle that. He's just finishing up some last-minute adjustments. As the seconds ticked by with no sign of Marcus, the tension in the room became unbearable. Just as Elena was about to make an excuse, Marcus appeared, his face flushed and his hands trembling slightly. Sorry for the delay, he said, his voice strained. Let's get started. He pressed a button on the soundboard, and for a moment, everything seemed fine. But then the audio cut out, replaced by a loud, jarring feedback loop that echoed through the venue. The client's face turned red with anger. What the hell is this? He demanded. Elena's heart raced as she tried to salvage the situation. I'm so sorry. We'll fix this immediately. But the damage was done. The client stormed out, leaving the team in stunned silence. Marcus looked like he was about to collapse. I'm sorry, he whispered. I tried to fix it, but I couldn't. Elena's frustration boiled over. What's going on, Marcus? This isn't like you. What aren't you telling us? Marcus hesitated, his eyes filled with guilt. Before he could answer, Sophia rushed in, her face pale. Elena, you need to see this, she said, holding out her tablet. On the screen was a news article about a major equipment theft in Los Angeles, the same equipment they had shipped to Dubai. The realization hit Elena like a punch to the gut. Marcus, she said slowly, her voice trembling with anger. What did you do? Chapter 4, The Unraveling. The room felt like it had been vacuum sealed, the air heavy with tension and disbelief. Marcus stood frozen, his hands still gripping the soundboard, as if it were the only thing keeping him upright. Elena's eyes bore into him, a mix of anger and betrayal flashing across her face. The rest of the team, Jasmine, Ryan, and Sophia, stood in stunned silence, their gazes darting between Marcus and Elena, waiting for someone to break the silence. Marcus, Elena repeated, her voice low and dangerous. What did you do? Marcus swallowed hard, his usual confidence shattered. I didn't mean for this to happen. I thought I could fix it. Fix what? Elena snapped. The stolen equipment, the audio delay, or whatever else you've been hiding from us. Marcus looked down, his shoulders slumping. The equipment wasn't stolen. At least, not in the way you think. I borrowed some parts from another project to replace the ones that got damaged during shipping. I thought I could return them before anyone noticed. Jasmine gasped. You what? Marcus, that's not borrowing, that's theft. It wasn't theft. Marcus shot back, his voice rising. I was trying to save this project. The original parts were damaged, and there was no time to order replacements. I thought I could make it work. Elena stepped closer, her voice icy. And instead, you've put this entire event and our company's reputation at risk. Do you have any idea how serious this is? Marcus didn't answer. He didn't need to. The weight of his actions was written all over his face. Sophia, ever the pragmatist, broke the tension. We need to focus on damage control. The client is already furious. If we don't fix this, we're done for. Elena took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay calm. You're right. Marcus, you're off this project. Go back to the hotel and stay there until I figure out what to do with you. Marcus opened his mouth to protest, but one look from Elena silenced him. He nodded, his face pale, and walked out of the venue without another word. As soon as he was gone, Elena turned to the rest of the team. All right, we need to fix this. Jasmine, can you work with the local crew to see if they have any spare parts we can use? Jasmine nodded. I'll see what I can do. Ryan, double-check the broadcast setup. We can't afford any more surprises. Sophia, get on the phone with our contacts in LA. We need to find out exactly what's missing and how we can replace it. The team sprang into action, their earlier camaraderie replaced by a grim determination. They worked through the afternoon, barely stopping to eat or rest. By evening, they had managed to cobble together a temporary solution, but it was far from perfect. As the team gathered for a quick dinner, the mood was somber. Ryan broke the silence. Do you think we can pull this off? Elena sighed. We don't have a choice. We have to. Jasmine leaned back in her chair, her expression thoughtful. You know, this isn't just about the equipment. It's about trust. Marcus lied to us. How do we move past that? Elena's jaw tightened. We'll deal with Marcus later. Right now, we need to focus on the event. If we can pull this off, maybe we can salvage something from this mess. Sophia nodded. Agreed. But we need to be prepared for anything. If the client finds out about the stolen equipment, it's over. The team fell silent, the weight of their situation settling over them like a dark cloud. They had faced challenges before, but nothing like this. This wasn't just a technical problem, it was a betrayal of trust, and it threatened to tear the team apart. As they finished their meal, Elena's phone buzzed. It was a message from Marcus. I'm sorry. I'll fix this. Just give me one more chance. Elena stared at the screen, her emotions warring within her. Part of her wanted to give Marcus the benefit of the doubt, but another part, the part that had to protect the team and the company, knew she couldn't afford to take any more risks. She put her phone away without replying, her mind racing. The event was less than 24 hours away, and they were running out of time. But as she looked around the table at her team, Jasmine, Ryan, Sophia, she felt a flicker of hope. They were still here, still fighting. And as long as they stuck together, they might just have a chance. Chapter 5, The Domino Effect. Scene description. The team is in the middle of a high-stakes corporate event in Dubai, where they are responsible for the full production of a global product launch. The venue is a sprawling convention center with a massive LED wall as the centerpiece, surrounded by intricate lighting rigs and a state-of-the-art sound system. The atmosphere is tense, the client is demanding, and the team is already on edge due to the complexity of the setup. The event is hours away, and everything seems to be running smoothly until it isn't. Action and dialogue. The control room is a hive of activity. Sarah, the project manager, is pacing back and forth, her tablet in hand, checking off items on her pre-event checklist. Her sharp eyes dart across the room, ensuring every detail is perfect. She's the glue holding the team together, but even she's feeling the pressure. Sound check complete, announces Jake, the audio engineer, his voice calm but laced with exhaustion. He's been up since 4 a.m., fine-tuning the system to ensure crystal-clear audio for the client's keynote speech. His passion for sound is evident in the way he meticulously adjusts the levels, but his hands are trembling slightly from too much coffee and too little sleep. LED wall is looking good, chimes in Mia, the video operator. She's seated at her station, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she tests the visuals. Mia is the youngest on the team, but has an uncanny ability to troubleshoot tech issues under pressure. Her confidence is reassuring, but today, even she seems a bit on edge. "Lights are synced and ready," says Carlos, the lighting technician. He's the most laid-back of the group, often cracking jokes to lighten the mood. But today, his usual smile is absent. He's been quiet, focused, and unusually tense. The team is running through the final checks when disaster strikes. Guys?" Mia's voice cuts through the hum of activity. She's staring at her screen, her face pale. The LED wall just went black. Sarah stops mid-stride. "What do you mean it went black?" "I mean it's not responding. I've tried rebooting the system, but nothing's working." Mia's fingers are moving frantically, but her efforts are futile. Jake swivels in his chair. "Did you check the connections? Maybe it's a cable issue." "I've checked everything," Mia replies, her voice rising. "It's not the cables. It's the server. It's completely frozen." Sarah's mind races. The LED wall is the centerpiece of the event. Without it, the entire production falls apart. "Carlos, did you touch anything on the server?" Carlos freezes. His face flushes, and he avoids eye contact. I might have bumped into it earlier when I was setting up the lights, but it seemed fine at the time." "You bumped into it?" Sarah's voice is sharp, her frustration bubbling over. "Carlos, this is a multi-million-dollar event. You can't just bump into things." Carlos looks down, guilt written all over his face. "I didn't think it would cause any damage. I'm sorry." The room falls silent, the weight of the situation pressing down on everyone. The client is expecting perfection, and they're hours away from delivering anything. "But we need to fix this," Sarah says, her tone firm. "Mia, keep trying to reboot the server. Jake, see if you can reroute the signal through the backup system. Carlos, double-check all the connections. And someone get tech support on the line now." The team springs into action, but the tension is palpable. As they work, the clock ticks down relentlessly. Subplot development. Amid the chaos, Jake notices that Mia is unusually quiet. Normally, she's the first to crack a joke or offer a solution, but today, she's withdrawn. He catches her wiping away a tear when she thinks no one is looking. "Hey," Jake says softly, pulling her aside. "You okay?" Mia hesitates, then shakes her head. "It's just this is my first big event as the lead video operator. If I mess this up, I don't know if I'll ever get another chance." Jake places a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're not going to mess this up. We're a team, remember? We've got your back." Mia manages a small smile, but the worry in her eyes remains. Climactic moment. Just as the team is about to lose hope, Sarah gets a call from tech support. "We've identified the issue," the technician says. "It's a corrupted file in the server. We'll need to re-upload the entire sequence." "How long will that take?" Sarah asks, her heart pounding. "At least 2 hours." Sarah's stomach drops. They don't have 2 hours. The event starts in 90 minutes. "There's no way we can speed that up," she presses. "I'm sorry," the technician replies. "It's a large file, and the upload speed here isn't great." Sarah hangs up and turns to the team. "We're out of time. We need a backup plan." Carlos, who has been silent since his admission, suddenly speaks up. "What if we use the projector as a temporary solution? It won't be as impressive as the LED wall, but it'll buy us some time." Sarah considers this. "It's not ideal, but might work." "Do it," she says. "Mia, can you reconfigure the visuals for the projector?" Mia nods, already pulling up the files. "I'll make it work." As the team scrambles to implement the backup plan, the tension reaches a breaking point. Will they be able to pull it off in time? End of chapter hook. Just as the projector flickers to life, displaying the first slide of the presentation, the client walks into the room. Her eyes narrow as she takes in the makeshift setup. "What's going on here?" she demands. Sarah steps forward, ready to explain, but before she can speak, the projector suddenly goes dark. The room falls into stunned silence. Chapter 6. The Breaking Point. Scene description. The control room is in chaos. The client, a sharp-dressed woman in her 50s with an air of authority, stands in the doorway, her arms crossed and her expression icy. The team freezes, their eyes darting between the dark projector and the client. The weight of the moment is suffocating. Sarah steps forward, her mind racing to find the right words, but the client beats her to it. "I asked what's going on," the client repeats, her voice low but cutting. Sarah takes a deep breath. There's been a technical issue with the LED wall, but we're working on a solution. We've temporarily switched to the projector while we resolve the problem. The client's eyes narrow. Temporarily. The event starts in less than an hour. Do you have any idea how important this is? This isn't some backyard wedding. This is a global launch. Millions of dollars are on the line. I understand, Sarah says, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. We're doing everything we can to ensure the event goes smoothly. The client scoffs. Everything you can? It doesn't look like it. She turns to leave but pauses at the door. If this isn't fixed by the time the event starts, consider your contract terminated. The room falls silent as the client storms out. Sarah closes her eyes for a moment, gathering her composure. When she opens them, she's all business. Mia, status update, she says, her tone clipped. Mia is frantically typing, her face pale. The server's still uploading, but it's only at 40%. Even if it finishes, we'll need time to test everything. We don't have time, Sarah snaps, then immediately regrets it when she sees Mia flinch. She takes a deep breath. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It's fine, Mia interrupts, her voice tight. I'll keep working. Jake, who's been quietly troubleshooting the sound system, speaks up. What if we bypass the server entirely? We could run the visuals directly from Mia's laptop. Sarah considers this. Is that possible? Mia nods. It's risky, but it might work. The resolution won't be as high, and we'll lose some of the effects, but it's better than nothing. Do it, Sarah says. Carlos, help Mia with the setup. Jake, keep an eye on the sound. I'll handle the client. As the team springs into action, the tension in the room is palpable. Carlos, still visibly shaken from earlier, avoids eye contact as he helps Mia reroute the signal. I'm really sorry about this, he mutters. Mia doesn't look up from her laptop. We don't have time for apologies right now. Just focus on fixing this. Carlos nods, but his hands are trembling as he plugs in the cables. Character development. Meanwhile, Jake notices that Sarah is unusually quiet. She's always been the rock of the team, the one who keeps everyone grounded, but today, even she seems on edge. He catches her staring at the clock, her jaw clenched. You okay? He asks quietly. Sarah shakes her head. I can't believe this is happening. We've never had a failure like this before. It's not a failure yet, Jake says. We've still got time. Sarah gives him a weak smile. I hope you're right. Climactic moment. With minutes to spare, Mia finally gets the visuals running through her laptop. The projector flickers to life, displaying the first slide of the presentation. It's working, Mia says, her voice tinged with relief. Good, Sarah says. Now let's test the sound. Jake cues the audio, but instead of client's voice, a loud, distorted screech fills the room. Everyone winces. What the hell was that? Sarah demands. Jake quickly adjusts the levels. Sorry, feedback. It's fixed now. Sarah nods, but her hands are clenched into fists. We can't afford any more mistakes. The event starts in 10 minutes. As the team makes their final preparations, the client returns. She doesn't say anything, but her presence is a silent reminder of what's at stake. End of chapter hook. The event begins, and everything seems to be running smoothly. The client takes the stage, and the team breathes a collective sigh of relief. But just as she begins her speech, the projector flickers and goes dark again. The room erupts into chaos. Chapter 7. The Final Gambit. Scene description. The control room is a whirlwind of panic. The projector's sudden failure has thrown the team into disarray. The client's voice echoes through the venue, now amplified by the sound system, but devoid of the visuals that were supposed to accompany her speech. Her frustration is palpable, and the audience is beginning to murmur, sensing that something is wrong. Sarah's mind races as she tries to formulate a plan, but the pressure is overwhelming. Mia, what's happening? Sarah demands, her voice sharp with urgency. Mia is frantically typing, her face pale. I don't know. The laptop just froze. I can't get it to respond. Reboot it, Sarah snaps. I'm trying. Mia's voice cracks under the strain. Jake, who's been monitoring the sound, suddenly speaks up. The client's going off script. She's improvising, but she's losing the audience. Sarah curses under her breath. Carlos, can we switch back to the LED wall? Is the server up yet? Carlos checks the server status. It's at 95%. Almost there. Almost isn't good enough, Sarah says, her voice rising. We need it now. The tension in the room is suffocating. Every second feels like an eternity. The client's voice grows louder, her tone increasingly irritated. The audience's murmurs turn into audible whispers. Action and dialogue. Mia suddenly slams her laptop shut. This isn't working. We need another solution. What other solution? Sarah asks, her voice tinged with desperation. Mia's eyes light up. What if we use the backup files on the external drive? We can run them directly through the media player instead of the laptop. Sarah hesitates. Do we have time? It's our only shot, Mia says. Do it, Sarah orders. Mia grabs the external drive and plugs it into the media player. Her hands are shaking, but she works quickly, pulling up the files. Carlos, get ready to switch to the LED wall as soon as the server's up, Sarah says. Carlos nods, his face tense. Got it. Jake adjusts the sound levels, trying to compensate for the lack of visuals. The client's losing her patience. We need to fix this fast. We're working on it, Sarah says through gritted teeth. Character development. As Mia works, Jake notices that she's muttering to herself, her voice barely audible. I can't mess this up. I can't mess this up. He places a hand on her shoulder. Hey, you've got this. Just focus. Mia looks up at him, her eyes wide with fear. What if I can't fix it? What if I ruin everything? You won't, Jake says firmly. You're the best video operator I know. If anyone can fix this, it's you. Mia takes a deep breath and nods, her resolve hardening. Climactic moment. The server finally finishes uploading. LED wall is ready. Carlos announces. Switch to it now, Sarah orders. Carlos flips the switch, and the massive LED wall springs to life, displaying the first slide of the presentation. The audience gasps, their attention immediately drawn to the stunning visuals. The client, momentarily thrown off by the sudden change, quickly regains her composure and continues her speech. The team watches nervously, holding their breath as the event unfolds. For a few minutes, everything seems to be running smoothly. The visuals are flawless, the sound is perfect, and the client is back on track. The team allows themselves a moment of cautious relief. But then, just as the client reaches the climax of her speech, the LED wall flickers. End of chapter hook. The flicker is brief, but it's enough to catch the client's attention. She pauses mid-sentence, her eyes darting to the LED wall. The audience follows her gaze, and a ripple of unease spreads through the room. In the control room, the team freezes. What was that? Sarah demands. Mia checks the system. I don't know. Everything looks fine on my end. Before anyone can respond, the LED wall goes completely black. Chapter 8, The Resolution. Scene description. The LED wall is completely dark, and the room is silent except for the faint hum of equipment. The client stands frozen on stage, her speech interrupted mid-sentence. The audience is murmuring, their confusion growing by the second. In the control room, the team is in full crisis mode. Sarah's face is pale, her mind racing to find a solution. Mia is frantically typing, trying to reboot the system, while Jake and Carlos are double-checking every connection. The tension is unbearable. What's happening? Sarah demands, her voice sharp. I don't know. Mia replies, her voice cracking. The system crashed. I'm trying to restart it, but it's not responding. We don't have time for this, Sarah says, her frustration boiling over. The client is about to walk off that stage, and we'll lose everything. Jake, who's been quietly monitoring the sound, suddenly speaks up. What if we switch to the backup plan? The projector might not be as impressive, but it's better than nothing. Sarah hesitates. The client already saw the projector fail once. She's not going to trust it. Do we have a choice? Jake asks. Sarah looks around the room, her team's anxious faces staring back at her. She takes a deep breath. Do it. Action and dialogue. Carlos quickly reroutes the signal to the projector while Mia pulls up the backup files. Jake adjusts the sound levels to compensate for the smaller screen. The team works in perfect sync, their movements precise despite the chaos. Projector's ready, Carlos announces. Switching now, Mia says, her fingers flying across the keyboard. The projector flickers to life, displaying the presentation on a smaller screen to the side of the stage. The client, visibly irritated, glances at the screen but continues her speech. The audience, though still murmuring, begins to refocus. In the control room, the team watches nervously, their eyes glued to the monitors. It's working, Mia whispers, her voice tinged with relief. For now, Sarah says, her tone cautious. Keep an eye on everything. We can't afford another mistake. Character development. As the event continues, the team begins to relax slightly. Jake notices that Mia is still tense, her hands clenched into fists. You okay? He asks quietly. Mia shakes her head. I can't believe this happened. I should have been more prepared. This wasn't your fault, Jake says. We're a team, remember? We win together and we lose together. Mia manages a small smile. Thanks, Jake. Meanwhile, Sarah is quietly berating herself. She's always prided herself on her ability to handle any situation, but today, she feels like she's failed. Carlos notices her expression and approaches her. Hey, he says softly. You're doing everything you can. No one could have predicted this. Sarah sighs. I feel like I let everyone down. You didn't, Carlos says. We're still here, aren't we? The event's still going. That's because of you. Sarah looks at him, surprised by his words. Thanks, Carlos. Climactic moment. The event reaches its climax, and the client delivers her final remarks. The audience erupts into applause, and the team breathes a collective sigh of relief. We did it, Mia says, her voice filled with disbelief. Not yet, Sarah says, her eyes still on the monitors. We're not out of the woods until the client leaves that stage. The team watches as the client steps down, her expression unreadable. She heads straight for the control room, and the tension returns. Resolution. The client walks in, her face stern. The team braces themselves for the worst, but to their surprise, she smiles. That was impressive, she says. Sarah blinks. I'm sorry. You handled a disaster and turned it into a success, the client says. I've never seen a team work so well under pressure. You should be proud. The team exchanges stunned looks. Thank you, Sarah says, her voice filled with relief. The client nods. I'll be in touch. As she leaves, the room erupts into cheers. End of chapter hook. Later that night, the team gathers at a nearby bar to celebrate. The mood is light, the stress of the day finally behind them. As they raise their glasses, Sarah looks around at her team, a sense of pride swelling in her chest. To us, she says, the best damn team in the business. To us, they echo, clinking their glasses together.